and welcome to the 6:15 8 p.m. edition of the news on Canal International Broadcasting. Now to give you a flavor of what you expect to see and go forward, here's Canal with headlines.
At Nkoteng in the central region of Cameroon, calm is finally returning following 2 days of protest by workers of the sugar manufacturing company SOCIETE. Our sources on the ground indicate that the locality is currently under military surveillance after demonstrations left 1 person dead. And after several months of waiting, the Cameroon Football Federation, FECAFOOT, has finally chosen a kit supplier for the country's national football selections. The new jerseys will be provided by Swiss company 14, a choice that is sparking nationwide debate. Coming to you live from our studios in Douala, the 6:15 news rolls out in a second with anchorman Tariq Divine Ramsey Jr.
Thanks once again for your company and all our apologies for the slight late start. Now let's kickstart this edition from Nkoteng, that's in the Upper Sanaga division of the Central region, where calm is gradually returning after 2 days of unrest sparked by protests from workers of the sugar manufacturing company SOCIETE. Hyacinth Chia now reports that the crisis left 1 dead and several injured. He also adds that Nkoteng is currently under military surveillance.
After 3 days of a boiling atmosphere in the town of Nkoteng, Upper Sanaga division of the Central region, calm is relatively returning. The heavy deployed police and gendarmerie elements at the scene have successfully stopped the angry workers of SOCIETE. At the main town, this Wednesday, February 5th, the major activity is the cleaning of the road, where various objects were destroyed and burned by the disgruntled population. The forces of law and order galvanizing the young people to clean up the remains on the National Road Number 1, where circulation has been perturbed for days. The local and administrative authorities, like the senior divisional officer of Upper Sanaga, here on ground to evaluate the situation and demanding the reopening of the stretch of road. A good number of shops remained closed within the morning hours but later opened their doors by 2 p.m. While many have speculated that the strike action is caused by unpaid salaries, some of the workers rather lament over small take-home packages.
Nos échelons. Nous voulons nos échelons. Et le travail est dur. La campagne, si le travail est dur. La campagne passée en janvier, j'avais 88 000 francs. Le mois de janvier. Le mois de janvier passé, si. Je suis à 60 quelque chose de 1000.
Currently home, the laborers demand urgent measures to address their revendications.
Nous sommes pauvres, c'est avec ça que nous vivons au niveau de Nkoteng Bandiok. Nous vivons, si on arrange notre situation, même tout de suite là, je m'en vais au travail.
All attempts to get the reaction of SOCIETE officials on the subject have yielded no fruits, but a source within hinted that management is preparing an official communication. The incident has recorded 1 life lost and many wounded, both workers and uniform officers. And the portion of this sugarcane plantation burnt down by the aggrieved workers constitute part of the material damages.
Up next, we delve into a pressing issue and are making reference there to the massive deportation of migrants from the United States of America. Within Cameroonian communities rather spread across the U.S., there are perceptible signs of fear and anxiety. Canal Julio Tano now reports from Washington, D.C.
Forced migrants are leaving American soil due to a massive deportation order issued by the Department of Homeland Security determined to repatriate all illegal individuals. This measure was already in place under other administrations, but with Donald Trump's ascension to power, things have become even more dramatic, fueling a climate of paranoia and anxiety within all communities. We meet with Mr. Fa, an attorney specializing in immigration law, based on Georgia Avenue in Silver Spring in the state of Maryland.
Cameroon has about 1,700 people on the list, and I think the list is quite correct. I don't think I have any issue with the list. And those are the people that were set to be deported, not even by Trump. It was from previous administration, so I don't think I have any particular issue with the list. If you're here unlawfully, or you have a final order of deportation against you, yeah, you're subject to deportation. I don't think I have any issue with that. My personal issue is how it's been done and the excessive power that the police now has. I think that's where everything comes down to, and not respecting human rights as they do these things, not respecting people's constitutional rights. You have to have a search warrant. You have to have an arrest warrant. You just can't bust yourself into people's houses.
In this context, we also met Eliane Karin, a permanent resident and owner of a braiding salon in Lago. She shares the pervasive anxiety that weighs on the community. In bigger companies, you can feel the impact more than in a company like mine because I'm working alone. People are afraid to go out. People are afraid of being arrested by the immigration police. For Mr. Fa, the first step for those affected is to learn about their rights.
If you have applied for asylum, you've applied for a green card, you have temporary protected status, you have F1 status, you have a valid visa, I don't think there's any reason to be concerned. But if you have ever committed a crime in this country and you were convicted of committing a crime in this country and you don't have valid status in this country, I am sure ICE is out looking for you. You're probably among the 1,700 people that are subject to deportation back to Cameroon.
Waves of protests have risen in states like California, New York, and Texas, where demonstrators denounce the mass deportations and demand a reform of immigration policies.
Was Julio Trésor Tanon reporting from Washington, D.C. Now, yesterday, remember, we told you that cancer remains a major health concern across Cameroon, with about 19,500 cases, new cases reported and recorded every year. 65% of that figure results in death. However, there is hope for patients, and that's thanks to early detection and advances in treatment. Gladys Ambo has been talking to 2 cancer survivors. Here's what she brought back.
It was in 2015 that Joseph Njampa, better known as Papa Takwe, first faced the devastating news. What he thought was a simple case of constipation turned out to be colon cancer. The diagnosis left him heartbroken.
When doctors announced me that I have a cancer, my psychology was attacked.
Similarly, Weti Jolie endured a painful journey before being diagnosed. She had initially sought treatment for abscesses on her breast, undergoing incisions and failed treatments. Then came the shocking confirmation she had grade 2 hormonal cancer.
Tout ce que le médecin a dit ce jour-là, quand il a dit effectivement ce qu'on redoutait, c'est ça. Et la suite, j'ai pas compris la suite. J'étais dans un autre univers.
Both survivors fought through their battles with courage and faith, emerging victorious after years of treatment.
Qu'il m'a opéré en m'enlevant 70 cm de mon gros intestin.
I was operated upon and 70 centimeters of my big intestine was removed. While I was treated with chemotherapy, it provoked a burning sensation in my leg. I treated the nurse with natural medicine. 5 years later, doctors declared me free of colon cancer.
Complètement guéri de mon cancer du côlon.
Il fallait passer par les chimiothérapies.
I had to undergo chemotherapy and then a surgery on my left breast. It was not easy. My most difficult moment was separating myself from my son for about 6 months. By then, he was still a toddler. I was declared free of cancer after my treatment.
However, for Papa Takwe, the fight is not over. Now 66 years old, he has been diagnosed with prostate cancer. Despite this new challenge, he remains steadfast in his belief that cancer is not a death sentence.
Cancer aujourd'hui, sachez que ce n'est pas une maladie fatale. Non, on peut guérir complètement du cancer.
The stories of these cancer survivors serve as a reminder that with timely diagnosis, proper treatment, and a strong mindset, cancer can be overcome.
And on our economy page, we stay in Cameroon's commercial hub Douala, where businessmen and women have been meeting to learn more about the changes contained in the country's 2025 finance law. They say understanding those changes will help them stay compliant as well as avoid penalties. Here's Gladys Ambo Ndibang once again.
In a bid to enhance financial autonomy and streamline tax collection, the Cameroon government has introduced sweeping reforms under the 2025 finance law on local taxation. Among the key innovations is the elimination of certain municipal taxes and the introduction of a synthetic general tax targeting micro and small businesses with an annual turnover of less than 50 million francs CFA.
This new local tax introduces changes in the tax base, control procedures, and recovery processes. The reform also restructures local management centers by replacing former divisional tax centers with reinforced local and individual centers across the country. The government has assigned the local tax recovery mission to tax administration, which will collaborate with inland revenue collectors. Previously managed by councils, this reform is now being enforced and implemented, making it essential to upgrade relevant skills for effective execution.
To ensure a smooth transition, accountants, tax officers, and legal professionals from various enterprises are meeting in Douala February 5, 2025 for a capacity building workshop to equip themselves with a thorough understanding of the new tax innovations.
You can notice that as you have more and more groups of companies, so there are many new taxes that have increased inside the group to see how they can improve the collection. Also, the local taxation is very, very huge. It's good for us as a company to have more knowledge of the new local taxations.
The seminar is going to help in that we are going, as henceforth, we are not going to make mistakes concerning taxes. We are going to be able to know what are wrong with the tax law, with our invoices, our sales, our everything that concerns the company and that goes in line with taxation.
Tax experts have emphasized the importance of aligning business practices with the new regulations. They warn that failure to comply could expose businesses to fines and legal challenges.
And now musician Blake Bassi was co-chairperson of the Franco-Cameroonian Commission, which examined France's role in Cameroon's independent struggle. Interestingly, Bassi was absent at the official presentation of the Commission's report to President Paul Biya last week that was in Yaoundé. Speaking earlier today to reporters, Bassi said it was due to organizational hitches. Here's Beatrice Ngamo.
The questions started with Blake Bassi's absence during the presentation day, the lack of substance, the cultural and heritage approach in their collection and more. I could not be there because in the organization there was some part that stopped me. It was corrected after, but rest assured all is well. I was later received. The committee's mission was to talk with most of the witnesses who knows what happened during the colonization and to have different versions.
Give them opportunity to talk about what and how was it, because we know that in archives we have different perspective of what happened. So
the artist said their work is not just talking about what happened during the French colonial rule between 1945 to 1971, but rather
it's really about how we can build our country, where we want to go, how, with what, and who we are. How could we bring a future based on the real substance? What going to help us to build something really strong for a long time.
The 100-page report is available online. Real work is to start now, he added, as they are to go to the villages for ritual cleansing.
Meet the people who still carrying what's the most important for our culture, our tribes, and help them to fix up by the ritual what was broken.
This to pave the way for a new beginning, continuation in a peaceful manner, a new era between both countries.
Using different medium to talk about the story, what's going to be linked to the history, but also making a lot of theaters, music, performance, but really bring the 10 region. I'm involving also the 11-1, what is the diaspora, but also the French people who are really linked to our history.
Details dished out to the press this February 5, coming 1 week after the publication of the Franco-Cameroonian Commission on the Role and Commitment of France's involvement in the fight against independence and opposition movements in Cameroon.
And in sports, we take this brief because Swiss sportswear provider, that's the company 14, has been retained as the official kit supplier for the Cameroon Football Federation FECAFOOT and will henceforth provide new jerseys for the country's national teams. The partnership covers the men's, women's, and junior national teams. Officials at 14 say the deal marks a major milestone as it will enable the company strengthen its presence in African football. The company officials add that they are known for their stylish, sustainable, and innovative designs, but the choice has sparked a wave of reactions, with some critics insisting that Cameroon deserves much better than 14. And that's it for this edition of the 6:15 p.m. news on Canal International. Remember, we're broadcasting live from our studios at Upwe in Douala. There's more news lined up for you at 1950 with Michael Tipkio, Before then, Lev Pedro is coming up with the debrief. Bye-bye.